just a few here in John. And of course, this is Jesus is beginning to call his apostles into following him, his disciples first, and calling them to ministry that he has for them. And so John chapter 1, verse number 35, and once us begin reading, then you can start your own watch. All right? I got to catch my breath. All right, verse number 35. And again the next day after John stood, and two of his disciples, and looking upon Jesus as he walked, he said, "Behold the Lamb of God." Now my Bible has an exclamation point, so it's not "Behold the Lamb of God." It's like, "Behold the Lamb of God!" There. And the two disciples heard him speak, and they followed Jesus. And then Jesus turned and saw them following. He said, "What seek ye?" And they said, "Rabbi, what is the saying being interpreted, Master? Where dwellest thou?" And he said to them, "Come and see." And they came and saw where he dwelt, and abode with him that day, for it was about the 10th hour. One of the two which heard John speak and followed him, these are the two guys that just spent time with him, was Andrew, which is Simon Peter's brother. He first findeth his own brother Simon, and saith unto him, "We have found the Messiah," which is, being interpreted, the Christ. And he brought him to Jesus, and when Jesus beheld him, he said, "Thou art Simon, the son of Jonah, thou shalt be called Cephas," which is by interpretation, a stone. The day following, Jesus would go forth unto Galilee, and findeth Peter, and said to him, "Follow me." And Philip was of Bethsaida, and in verse 45, Philip findeth Nathanael, and said to him, "We have found him of whom the Moses and the law and the prophets did write, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." And Nathanael said to him, "Can there any good thing come out of Nazareth?" Then he goes on. He goes and he meets Jesus. And Jesus proves himself. He said, he goes, "Nathanael, here's an Israelite in whom there's no guile." He's like, "How do you know me?" And he goes, "When you were sitting under the fig tree, I knew you." And he immediately declared that he is the Son of God. Just off that little nugget, right? Here's what I want us to focus on in the next 4 minutes, all right? Is that find one, bring one. Invite the importance of inviting someone into your circle of influence. Let me rephrase that and say the circle of your spiritual influence. We all want friends, right? You know, the Bible says, "He that hath friends must show himself friendly." If we all want people to come to know Christ, we got to show them the love and the friendship of Christ. Okay? We need to go into these circles that we have, whether it's a work circle, a play circle. And, you know, we're not preaching circles tonight. We can grasp and hold that pretty easily. In that we need to go into these environments and say, "Hey, you know what? I like you." Matter of fact, we had one guy that started coming just because I walked up to him in the parking lot and said, "I like you. I'm not sure why, but I like you, and I want to invite you to our church." You know, and you know what? That broke him in the sense of him and his wife started coming. Their 2 kids, and then actually their 3 kids, and and now they're off doing something, and they're attending church somewhere else, because they moved away. But the thing was, just walking into that circle of influence that you already had, and branching that circle out to another area. You say, how important was this? Jesus found it to be very important. To the point that he showed us by example of doing it himself. He walked up to people he didn't even know. Now, John knew them. But he walked up to people, he said, "Come, follow me." Now, if somebody walks up to me, and they're like, "Hey, follow me," and I'm like, "Really? Did you just tell me to do something?" That's kind of how it would come across, right? But the thing is that Jesus went and he found these guys, and he said, "Come follow me." And Andrew went and he found Simon Peter, and we know what Simon Peter ended up becoming. But he went and found somebody. The next day we see that that there was another individual that said, "Hey, let me go and invite somebody else into this realm." Now Nathanael ended up becoming, according to church history, if you will, he ended up becoming a missionary to India and Armenia. Wow. That's not in Jerusalem, by the way. All right. When Jesus said, "Go into all the world and preach the gospel," and then in Acts he says, "Hey, that you will be witnesses unto me in Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the uttermost parts of it." That's the uttermost parts that he was talking about. All right. And so he went down there and he ended up presenting the gospel of Jesus Christ to the Armenians and also into India, to the point where the Armenian king became a follower of Christ and was killed by his brother because he followed Christ. Nathanael also, which is also Bartholomew, Nathanael also, according to church history, was crucified as well, upside down, kind of like Peter, because of his influence that he had in that country. today, somewhere today, there is a remnant of people. Now in India, there's like 7,000 different, beliefs and different gods that they believe in. But somewhere amongst those people, there is a remnant of people that still believe the gospel truth and are winning thousands and thousands and thousands of souls to Christ even today. So how important was that influence? The same thing with us today. Whether it's talking to friends that you work with and saying, hey, I want to invite you into my circle. It doesn't have to necessarily even be church. It can just, hey, why don't you come over for a barbecue? Why don't you come over and we'll cook some hot dogs and hamburgers? Why don't you come over and we'll play cornhole? Whenever we do the picnic in Meyer Park, what I tell y'all, hey, just invite people. I don't care if they come to church or not. Just invite them so they know that Christians don't bite their heads off, right? Come, throw some washers and some cornhole and something like that. But the thing is, there's an importance that we need to grasp a hold of, and we can see that in this family here. How important it is to reach outside of our box and say, hey, man, I like you guys. And I want you to be a part of what we got going on. Man, I think everybody on the island should have been here for that worship service.
Yeah. Amen.
That was better than any shrimp fest, any music fest that this island's ever seen.
Yeah.
Why? Because it was real, it was raw, right? And we know in whom we have believed, and we are convinced that He is able to keep that which we have committed to Him against that day.